Hi again guys, and welcome to another money earning setup for one of the new vehicles, of course, from the 1.29 patch. This time the Ferrari GTO, the 288 GTO in particular, of course, and this one is a step up from yesterday's tune for the Maserati. That one's very beginner friendly, N400, you're looking at like 345 grand a race. This one, though, is down in N300 alongside stuff like the Miura, the GT40, the KTM, and a couple of others as well, even the Mazda RX-500. And of course, this one adds another 30 grand to the pot, so you're looking at 375,000 a race. Now, this one I would say is not quite as good as the GT40, but I like it more than all of the others, actually, for N300. I know a lot of people love the Mazda. Personally, I think that one's more useful for N200, and it can be done. Personally, though, I prefer N300 for the sake of making it so much easier. However, this car, I will say, did surprise me by how good it actually is on Blue Moon Bay. I expected it to be very raw, very slippery, but it's actually brilliant. It's not far off how good the GT40 is for handling, which really did surprise me. Now, as far as the tuning, I'd recommend dropping that weight as much as you can. You don't need to go to a level 5 tune, because as you can see, you can't drop the weight anymore with that. So go to level 4, drop the weight. Then as far as power, of course, you want the peak of N300. Traction control, I'd recommend having off, but of course that's down to you. Racing super soft tyres. As far as the suspension, we've got the ride height 10mm, or actually 20mm higher, I should say, than the lowest. So 100 on the back, 95 on the front. Then the frequency on the springs as high as possible. 7 for the setting on the anti-roll, then for the compression and rebound on the dampers as low as possible, so very similar to excuse me, very similar to the Maserati. Neutral camber, neutral toe. I tried it with some camber. You don't need it. It's even better without it. As far as the diff, I've opted for the highest initial torque and then the lowest settings on both acceleration and braking. And then finally for the gearbox, I've actually left it stock because you can change it if you want to, but I found that it's pretty much already good enough. So feel free to change the gearbox numbers if you want to, but you don't necessarily even need to do that. So that's it for the tune. Now, of course, what you want to see, as always, is how well it actually does in that Blue Moon Bay event. Now, as far as this car's overall ability, I was actually surprised by how you can just pretty much jump into it and get a feel for the car immediately. Now, personally, I do still prefer the Ford, the GT40. That's my go-to model. I've got thousands of miles on it. I just feel more comfortable with that car. I love driving it as well. This one, though, for a Ferrari fan especially, is a really nice one to be able to use because, as another significant reason why you can use it, it's a lot cheaper than the Ford. Because, of course, the Ford is like 2.8 million, this is 1.8 million, so that's a huge amount cheaper. So I would say that this Ferrari in particular is a very, very good choice for somebody who is maybe less experienced in the game, newer to Gran Turismo Sport, maybe you haven't raced in Blue Moon Bay as much, maybe you've been using my tune for the Maserati yesterday or for the Porsche GT3 in, say, N400. You want to kick up your game, basically. You want to take something that's better in N300 to earn that extra 30 grand a race. I'd recommend trying this one because it's a lot cheaper than the Ford, and then you could always just buy the Ford later on, but this one's really good. It's not quite as quick as the Ford, but I'm sure for some people it will be, and it's great. It's very forgiving, it's very quick, and it actually surprised me, as I said, by just how good it is all round. So overall, if you do decide to use this tune, I hope of course you have a ton of fun with it, and you definitely will earn a lot of cash with this tune as well, around 2 million an hour. So that's it for this build. Of course, click right here on screen if you haven't already checked out my other tunes for Blue Moon Bay, and also for circuit racing, drag racing, drifting, tons of other things as well. And that's it overall, so of course I'll see you next time, and for now, as always, thanks for watching.